Expectations were high, but an unexpected injury changed the course of the Raiders' defense. What seemed like an unbeatable duo fell apart in just a few games, and now with training camp approaching, concerns are back on the table. The big question circulating in Las Vegas is, should the team act before it's too late? Let's analyze the options the front office has at its disposal to avoid another year marked by critical absences. The signing of the star defensive lineman last offseason was one of former GM Tom Telesco's greatest successes. Alongside Max Crosby, the reinforcement promised to transform the Raiders' front seven into a nightmare for opposing quarterbacks. However, the dream was short-lived. A fracture in Jones kept him out for practically the entire season. Now, with his recovery still surrounded by doubts, the team may need to think of a plan B or even C. One of the alternatives would be to adapt the current roster to compensate for the absence. Moving Tyree Wilson to the interior, for example, alongside veteran Adam Butler, could do the trick in terms of physical presence and resistance against the ground game. The strategy is reminiscent of the Moneyball approach, in which the sum of the pieces tries to replicate the impact of a star. It would be a low-cost solution that does not require drastic changes to the roster. Even so, the question of when the starter will be 100% recovered continues to loom. Therefore, a temporary solution in free agency may be the safest path, and in this scenario an old acquaintance emerges as a strong candidate: Quentin Jefferson. In addition to having made a good impression in his previous stint with the Raiders, Jefferson knows Pete Carroll's style like few others, a factor that could weigh heavily in the decision. Brad Behrman from the Just Blog Baby portal pointed to Jefferson as one of the most logical options, highlighting his 6-sack season with the Jets in 2023 and his playoff experience with 10 postseason games under his belt. He not only brings production but also leadership. With the uncertainty surrounding the recovery of their top defensive player, the Raiders can't afford to take chances. Bolstering the interior of the line could be the difference between a solid defense or another year of frustration.